Thursday Ragnarok Day. Thursday Ragnarok. You know what I mean?
Everything's just like a real
Thur
reference, like all the other
Thurs
podcasts that we're doing.
Thursday Ragnarok. The best movie in the MCU, except for the couple movies that are better. Um, Untitled, Unfocused, Tyler, Rayman. I'm trying to think of like a nickname, like a funny nickname. A funny
Man
haha.
Ray,
I couldn't think of one. What else do we got, man? Thursday Ragnarok today, and we are talking about something called. Oh, dude, I'm ready for this, man. This is Ray's favorite anime of all time. He said it. He said it last week. He'll stick by, even if he doesn't remember saying it. He has. He can't. He's gonna die in this hill. Hill's really tall. I don't know if he wants to die there, but Bakemonogatari. Um, Ray forced me to watch this. I am held
definitely
against
not
my
say my
will.
favorite anime of all time. But for the sake of this episode, sure it is.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna cut that out. I don't even know what Ray just said right there, but Bakemonogatari. Watch the first 3 episodes, and I have some thoughts, Ray. I have some thoughts
Okay,
on
let's
why
go
this
with the
is the,
thoughts.
this is the worst episode, the worst anime of all time. Um, First thought. I don't know if I'm going to now. You've watched it. You can spoil everything for me. I don't want you to, but um, I don't know if I'm gonna like how this show is. What's the word?
What if I say
Structured.
that's not?
I don't feel like how it's structured because I took a peek at the episode list on Wikipedia because I was trying to write down people's names. I gotta write them down so I know. And I just glanced at it, right? And it feels like most of the episodes, if not all the episodes, it's like part one, part two, then part one, part two, then
Mhm.
part one, part two. And I know you compared it last time to the Bunny Girl Senpai show, right?
I did compare to Bunny Girl, yes.
And I like because Bunny Girl did something similar, where it was like arcs. It's like but the arcs were bigger in that one. I feel like it was like every like 3 or 4 episodes. Then it wouldn't like reset time, but it would be like, oh, there's another thing. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna like this being in 2 episode parts. How it breaks up. I hope that towards the end of it, towards like the last third, everything starts coming together
You just see the season real quick because I really gotta
because
look into this.
because I watched the first 3 episodes, and the first two were like back to back, boom, boom, and the third
Mhm.
episode is like a
It's a
completely
separate
different.
arc entirely.
It's like a completely, and I'm like, well, again, I'm not saying the show's bad by any means. I like it so far. I think it's cool, but like,
No, I
I
understand
hope,
your it's not
I,
like, not
I
weird
hope
to
it's not
say.
just like an anthology, which I'm assuming it's not, but I hope everything comes together because again, if I'm comparing to again, Bunny Girl, 10 out of 10 in my opinion. So if it's like that, those eventually came together in the end and everything kind of got resolved, right? In one way or another, however you want to argue that. In this one, it was like, okay, they met the girl, they did the thing, they got the Crab King, which was cool. And then it ended, and it was like, yeah, I got him. I am more confident in myself now because what was it? It was like she didn't like love herself or something, and she always felt bad, and that's why she got the weight taken.
The weight
Um,
taken was she didn't want to remember the feelings that her
yeah,
mother
okay, yeah,
caused
that's what it
her.
was. I knew it was
She wanted to
connected to
hold
her
on to
mom
that.
in some way.
But then
Yeah,
in the end of the episode, we notice that the weight's actually been given to
uh,
Araragi.
yeah, Aragi, yeah,
Mhm.
which is a funny little twist. Like, ooh, got him, zinger. But I thought that was cool. Yeah, the whole didn't want to face
Where
her
like
own
she gets her weight back,
feelings.
but he also carries her weight as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Carry the weight. It's a metaphor. Um, but yeah, like it ended and I thought it was cool and everything. But then the next, like you said, it's a whole new arc. It's just like, so forget all that. Here's a new girl that probably has an issue too, and then there's this young girl. It's like, does she have the issue? Like, something's gonna get fixed, right? That's the whole point of the show. I'm assuming is that he just goes around like Mr. Miyagi's everything. You know, there was some funny moments in this, the whole meeting the girl, the whole, like, fighting her, I guess. Like, he, like, knocked her out or something, and it was like, "Oh, you're real proud of yourself for fighting for beating up a 10-year-old." It's pretty funny.
It's one of the funniest lines actually in the show, to be
Yeah,
fair. Like, his interactions with her are probably, like, some of the best in the show. Like, in him interacting with, like, I think all the characters actually have good interactions, but I think, she may be one of the funniest characters to bless the show.
but, yeah, and then, like, this with this episode, nothing really happened, right? 3rd episode, again, 2-episode arcs so far, it seems like, and it's just set up. It's like, "Oh, there's this thing with this girl, and she wants to repay," what is it? Itagi is her first or last name, I don't know, but that's the name I used.
Mhm.
She wants to repay him, going through a million different scenarios. The way this show, the atmosphere of this show is really weird, and I haven't, like, fallen into it yet, 'cause it's like, especially this episode, it's
Episode
like
3, yeah.
the way like, the sound is and, like, the way it's shot, it's, like, abstract. It's so weird.
It's like,
You know what I
if I
mean?
remember correctly, it's like, Rashawn has a lot of knowledge on the Monogatari series compared to me. I
Mm.
know the movie, when they did the movies, they were based on French films. I don't know if it's the same for these movies here or these shows here, for all these episodes here. But I know the movies definitely were based on French filmmaking. Um, I'm not sure if that carried over to the TV show when they were doing the animes episodes.
Well, if that's true, then that might make sense because I know, like, obviously, other countries and stuff, like, every country has its own, like, sauce, the way they make a movie, the way they structure that's
Mhm,
why anime is so different than cartoons, because the way they tell a story is so different, even though it's both animation, it's both, cartoons in a sense. So that would make sense if that has also influenced the making of the show. And that is the episode I think we watched for Out of Context, by the way. Because
it was
I
episode
was
it was this episode was the one we watched
yeah,
for out of
'cause I
context.
started watching it and I was like, "Oh, I know this episode."
This episode was the one we watched for out of context. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, there is some hints to again, we saw Hitagi in 3rd episode, so it wasn't like completely forget every character you know. There is carryover, which I like. Um, and, I just hope there is an overarching story and it's not just Aragi goes around, helps people. That's all it is. He doesn't really have a character himself. He's a blank slate, you know? I hope that's not what it is, and, it could still be good even if
It's
that
so
is.
weird, like, I mean, like, when you're saying this, and, like, I'm understanding what you're saying, which is really odd,
Yeah,
because I had no idea what my expectations for the show were when I first started watching as well, because my
sure,
brother
yeah.
just said, "Yo, he just tossed him, he's like, "Watch this real quick."
But I'm like, there is something unique about him, though. 'Cause remember in the 1st episode, the, wound
He
in
got
his
stapled.
mouth, yeah, it healed immediately, which I don't know if that was, like, a joke or if he actually does
Oh,
have some
that's
weird
intentional. That's
some weird
intentional.
healing like, weird healing
Very
factor.
much intentional.
Okay,
Th he
so
explained it shortly that, he had an interaction with a vampire
oh, right, 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 yeah, I remember
during
that.
spring break.
Yeah. So, like, hopefully, they do plant seeds for something big, with
Mhm.
that, the vampire thing, and also who that other little girl was that was in the corner, and it was like wasn't like she's dead or something? Isn't what
She
he
is
said?
called so, like, they named her, what was it?
I know what it is, it's in the front of my mind, I just can't
Now I
exactly
think I'm
say it.
actually an idiot because I completely forgot what her name is, even though it's important because I call her by the other name
Yeah,
generally.
yeah. But yeah, there's definitely something weird about her.
Shinobu. Shinobu. Shinobu Oshino.
Does it say what that name means? Because the, like, teacher made a point to be like, "Oh, it means this," and that's why it fits her.
What does
Um
Shinobu mean? That's a good question. Shinobu.
Um, yeah, like, again, seeds of something else, like, she is going to come into play at some point, she has to, there's no way that they just spent like 60 whole seconds on her character, and we're just not gonna talk about her ever again. You know, we're not gonna like save her. Maybe there's something she needs, or she's gonna become part of the group in some way. Like something has to happen with her character.
Because like the
Um,
only thing I got from that, I don't know if Shinobu means anything specifically, or if I'm missing anything of what it means. But I know the fact that he named her after himself is a major thing.
yeah. He
Mhm.
did do that. Um, yeah, I assume that'll come into play as well. Um,
Mm. Unless like the Shin in Shinobu is supposed to be like death or whatever, but that's about the only other thing I can really think of.
yeah, I mean, he says it means something. He says like, "Oh, the like characters is this and this," and I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Like I think I told you something like real quick before we started that like there's a lot of Japanese wordplay that happens in this show,
Yeah, there is.
and like that's already just an aspect that like he just tosses at you, and
They
like even
like,
the idea of like crab, like
yep,
kame
yeah,
and kami, like
mhm,
going from crab to god is like an
yeah,
entirely different like wordplay that's being thrown on you.
yeah, yeah. They try to throw as much as they can at you. A lot of it doesn't come across because it's very quick. But yeah,
Mhm.
stuff like that, they did take time out to explain it. Like,
Yeah,
oh, it's like a pun.
and then like even like you already talking about Senjo Gahara like throwing out like to uh Araragi, thrown out to him. Like
Mm,
the wordplay and like different words like moe or like with like the grass. Like when she's like meeting him like for Mother's Day. In the beginning she's like
yeah,
telling him about like, all different kanji. And how
mhm,
like it separates and all that stuff.
yeah,
Stuff that you like look at and you're like, it's like it makes no sense. Like when you're there speaking about it, but it makes sense like when you're looking at it from a bigger picture.
mhm,
Which is just
yeah.
kind of weird. So to answer your question, yes, there's a big arcing story. I don't think the first season's actually going to cover that.
Okay,
I don't think this season's going to cover it at all. I think this season's here to
cool,
introduce characters to you and to get you more
sure.
of an idea. It's going to build on characters slowly and like mesh them how like they interact, but it's not really going to be like heavily based on like setting up. It's going to be based on really your introduction to these characters and how they interact with one each other or with each other and how different ways to go about the problem. Like you see different problems and how in this case I'll say Oshino he how he goes about like looking at them through a different lens and showing
Mm,
that to Araragi.
okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it plays out,
I
you know?
think that's the best way to explain that without going super deep.
Yeah.
But the connections between the characters are made like it definitely like there's definitely more depth than it shows. It's really hard to show because literally the next arc is someone who I'd say is detached from the rest of the characters, where all the other arcs for this season are very much tied to characters you who have interacted with each other or have some interaction with each other. Because I know you went through the episode list, so you kind of saw the names that appear there.
Yeah.
But those characters do have relationships with the other characters. It's just that this character just so happens to not be one of those characters that they have tossed here as the next immediate arc.
Okay. Sure.
This arc, I think, is just supposed to pose another example of how Oshino would look at something, or
Mhm.
how like the situation could be with something that's very different to this world or supernatural.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not trying to touch spoilers. That's why I'm like being picky. What I'm saying.
Yeah, no, yeah, I
Um,
can tell. Yeah, I mean, Oshino definitely seems like very important. You know, he seems like the one that kind of connects all this stuff. Because I mean, like, that's where Aragi, like, the whole reason why he is what he is, he's like, nah, this guy saved me. This guy helped, you know, and
and then
so,
what does Oshino say? He's like, "You saved yourself."
yeah. Like, no, you know, I just pointed you
He's
in the
like, "I
right
didn't do anything."
direction.
He's like, "I just told you what to do and chose to do it. You saved
Yeah.
yourself. You made your decision."
He also charged him like way more.
Yeah, like Oshino's I'll say this straight up, my favorite character in the series.
He's
Um,
pretty cool so far.
he's a savage whenever he comes in. He does whatever he has to do. He has a signature line. Oh, did something good happen to you today?
Yeah.
Looking like something good happened or something like that. It's something real quick. Um, so something weird that happens. First episode, I think you've noticed like the first minute or like minute and a half of the first episode. You probably were confused as to what happened there.
I don't remember what happened.
First minute and a half, I think they show you him and the Subasa. Is that her name? I'm really awful if I don't remember characters' names at this point.
Oh yeah, is that when they were talking to each other in the classroom?
Yeah, even before that, you see like the bunch of
Before
flashing.
that,
Like, let me see if I can get that up
maybe I don't know. Bunch of
because I can actually
flashing.
pull it up real quick.
I mean, I
This is
know
a
we
weird thing to
saw
make notes of.
we saw Hitagi like falling through the staircase. I know that.
So let me do a Bakemonogatari. One BD. Can I share screen? Thank you. Go live.
Oh my god. Okay,
It's
so
really weird to
I'm
consider.
been watching the intro to Bakemonogatari now. So there's this girl, man. I don't know who that is.
That's Hanekawa. Okay,
That's a
I'm
lady.
awful.
There's a bunch of words coming up on the screen. High school. Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah, it kind of feels like a some kind of what's the word, prologue, that kind of thing, some kind of metaphor or something. You know what I mean? Oh man, so much blood. Okay, yeah, I remember this now. It was at the beginning when bunch of crazy events happens. We see a bunch of different characters. Oshino, Oshino's got the cross. Oh man, I can't read that fast. I don't think anyone can read that fast. Yeah, so I imagine this is just like stuff we're going to see happen, or it is crazy far back, like backstory.
Okay, so
You know?
I think I already told you about the movies, right?
In what way?
The movies are like before Bakemonogatari,
Yeah.
and how I said like it would spoil your entire satisfaction to series if you saw the movies because you'd be like the animation is too good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did tell me that.
What they're showing right there in like that first 2 minutes or 3 minutes of the show is
Mm.
literally like they're showing the movie or clips from what the movie would happen or what the movie
Oh,
would show.
okay.
Stuff that you're supposed to already have an idea of, but it just really quickly is like, well, no, I take it back. You're not supposed to have any idea of what that is. You're not supposed to know.
Okay.
You're not supposed to know any of that because the first book is also Bakemonogatari. You're supposed to have a segment of these ideas, breaking up, and that's what it's doing. It's breaking them up and showing you. It's like, okay, like this is what happened before the events where we're actually starting. So weird. I don't know how else to explain it.
But the movie's released after the show,
The movie's released in 2016,
so after the show.
even though they're supposed to be like the next arc. Like not that. I say next arc weirdly. Like technically after the first season, it's supposed to be the slot where you're supposed to shove in the movies.
Yeah.
Hmm. So it makes sense contextually. The movie's released in 2016, or like made for 2016. So can't really go into that.
Mm,
I mean, like if you're doing like the watch order, but novel order for the light novels. After this one, you would just go straight into the movies, and it will show that. Show what happened before.
okay. So yeah, man. I don't really know what to think of the show so far. It's
It's really
only
hard.
first three
It's
episodes.
like you have to like take what everyone says, which is really odd. Like whenever
Yeah.
someone says something about someone, you gotta think about it for a moment. Like like the fact that like Hanekawa, that's the one girl with the glasses, like
Mm,
points out to your main character, Kun. It's like why is he taking an interest in someone else? He normally doesn't take interest in people.
yeah.
It's a big factor for her. And she seems to be like his only friend. I mean, from all we've seen, we've only seen him with one other, well, two other characters really. It's him her, and Oshino, who apparently we've seen he had contact with before. I guess with his sisters. But you haven't seen
Mhm.
anything else outside that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he's only there hanging out with her, all alone.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like, exactly what you're saying, yeah, the dialogue is very intentional, and, a lot of times it's just really weird, and I think on the surface it's really weird, but you do have to kinda pay attention to it and listen to what they're saying and realize what they're really saying and, like, how they are building up the character that they're talking to or whatever, and, kinda does a good job at world building, like, Ray's patented world
Oshino is very
building.
cryptic, I'll say that for certain.
Yeah, yeah, cryptic is a good word. Um,
Like, he
or
definitely says things intentionally
mhm,
to, like, get us or get a certain response or get something out of you.
yeah.
In a weird way.
Yeah, and that kinda goes back to him saying, like, "No, I didn't do anything." Like, I'm not, like, just some dude who just magically helps everyone. Like, no, I kind of push you in this way, or I kind of plant thoughts in your brain, help you bring out the best of you, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, man, I think it's cool so far. I'm interested to see what other characters we see, how it tops. Because so far I've only seen the resolution to one arc, right? One little character blip. So much to see what other things they throw at you, if they're all as serious and, like, emotional as the crab one was.
Okay.
We just got a lot of exposition about that character very quickly.
So looking at this right now, we are going to be getting the resolution of one arc, and then we're going to be also starting a new arc as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Also, wait, what? Hold up, really? Hold up, this is odd. Yo, the end card for episode 5 was made by the guy who made Fairy Tail.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because I saw the name, I was on Wikipedia, obviously, and I was like, oh, Mashima, dude, is it really him? It was. And episode 3 has Kobayashi, the guy who did Skull Rumble. What in the world?
A lot of people are touching the show.
Like, it's with the end cards. And then he
Yeah,
has the
yeah.
art book with Takuechi. What the world, dude?
Can't
Is
believe
there
you
anyone
didn't
else
know
here
this,
who I
right?
know of who's big on this? What's episode 4's end card? Oh, episode 4 is the what's one of the what she did? She worked a lot with Mashima as well.
This is just blowing Ray's mind. Ray, you learn something new every day.
Yeah,
Like, you should go out there, take on the world.
a lot here, dude.
Ray, I still don't know if you're saying see world or see the world.
It's fine, man.
He said ocean, whale, China. So no, no, Kevin, you didn't clarify anything there.
So weird, dude. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
Ray.
Mighty Mashima was here for
Yeah,
episode
man.
5 in the end card.
I feel like there's something you should have known. I feel like you failed as a fan.
I said it before. I'm kind of weird. I'm a big hype man for Rave Master.
Mhm.
I really hype up Rave. I don't think Fairy Tail's bad, but I don't think Fairy Tail's like super good towards the end anyway. Where I
Sure,
feel like
yeah.
Rave is just a big circle of good. I haven't gotten
Um,
into Zero yet because I'm still like super
mm,
far. I haven't caught up into it like I should.
you should.
Um, but yeah, and like one thing you're gonna notice about this show as well is there's different openings
Okay.
for each arc. Each arc
Yeah, I
has
feel like
its.
I've already seen that. That was a little different.
When you get to episode 9, everyone loves uh Renai circulation as the opening.
Okay.
Everyone has it as the one opening that they love the most. Everyone has it up there. It's so weird. You've probably heard of it in memes or whatever. That's
Maybe.
really
Um, so yeah, this is the first thing this week that we don't have to replace
Yeah, we don't
because
have to replace
all the
it.
other
This
three
is just
things
gonna go
we
on. It's gonna be for
yeah,
5 weeks.
could go on and go on forever. Because when we finish it, we'll just start up again. We'll know these episodes like the back of our hands, you know.